Hello and welcome to another Restrap how-to video. Today we're looking at lightweight bikepacking setups, and this is everything that you will want to take, or perhaps more importantly not want to take, on maybe your first bikepacking race, or if you just want to shave some weight off your everyday bikepacking setup. The stuff that we'll be looking at in today's video is all the considerations that you might want to take into account when going for a more lightweight setup. So that's everything from the conditions that you're likely to be riding through to the likely weather, through to the level of comfort, or again, perhaps more importantly, the level of discomfort that you're willing to put up with during the time that you're out. We'll start off with the saddle bag. And this has actually got pretty much all of the kit that I need in, other than things like food. But I'll make a start. First thing I've got in here is I try to pack it in the order of what I think I'm going to need during the ride itself. So the first thing is a waterproof jacket, which obviously you ideally don't want to have to use, but I would never go on a ride without one. I always use a hood. It's quite a lightweight jacket, but the hood makes such a big difference, both in terms of warmth and also after hours and hours and hours in the rain, then I just find it really useful to be able to have and pull up over the helmet. Next up, we have got some gloves. During the summer, I tend to ride without gloves at all, but it's amazing how cold you can feel after a while, particularly when you're really tired, maybe when you're riding through the night. So I always bring at least just a thin pair of gloves to wear. Next up, we've got a Musette bag. I've got quite a lot of spare space for food here, but there are a few times where maybe if you swing into a shop, you want to stock up on supplies that are going to potentially last you for a good few hours, a long way between places where you can refuel. Then it's sometimes useful just to have the Musette bag to be able to add a few extra items in there and carry over your shoulder for the first few miles back on the road. One thing that I always bring is this Emergency Bivvy bag. It's kind of a tin foil style thing, and as you can see, it packs away super small. Next up, I have got a down jacket, lightweight down jacket, and I will use this to stay warm while I'm sleeping. I will also potentially ride with it if it gets cold overnight as well. And the smaller the better for that, really. Again, generally the kind of setup I'm looking at here is probably a summer-based setup rather than a winter one. Finally, this is a really small sleeping bag, and it's actually half length, so it's insulated on the legs, and then the top isn't insulated at all. And the reason for that is it's designed to be used in conjunction with a down jacket. It really isn't particularly warm. I have used it down to about freezing in a tent, and it was not a comfortable night's sleep, but I did get to have some sleep. You will notice that I haven't got a sleeping mat in that, and again, this is a personal preference thing. If I'm planning on being able to get a good night's sleep, I will definitely bring a sleeping mat. If the forecast is for it to be cold, I will bring a sleeping mat. But otherwise, it's something that I personally choose to leave at home. And then, it's a decision for you to have to take yourself, really, that one. Here's a couple of extra sleeping options that you may want to think about. First of all, this is a silk sleeping bag liner. And there's two ways that you can use this. First of all, if you've got a super lightweight sleeping bag and the forecast is likely to be a little bit colder than it's ideally designed for, this boosts the warmth of it. Also, if it's going to be really mild, then you can just bring this in to replace a sleeping bag, essentially. Again, you're not going to be particularly warm using it, but it adds a little bit of insulation. And this is a Bivvy bag, and again, really useful to boost the warmth of a sleeping bag. Waterproof as well, or at least water resistant. And again, you can use this purely by itself. Again, if you're not too bothered about the insulation, you just want something to cover you up for a couple of hours while you're trying to get some kit, then just bringing the Bivvy bag is a good way of saving some weight. on to the frame bags. Start with the actual frame bag itself. In here, got probably no surprises really. Tool roll, and in that is pretty much all the usual spares, Allen keys, that kind of thing. Got a buff. Buffs are really, really useful in general, just for, again, extra warmth, whether that's head, neck, and actually also during COVID times at the moment, just to be able to use as a face mask when you go into shops. Quick straps, which again, just great for securing extra stuff onto the bike, maybe something onto the saddlebag. They weigh so little that it's always handy just having one or two of those. I've got a battery pack and charger cable, just in a lightweight plastic sandwich bag. And that's for my GPS device to charge that up, because this is pretty good for up to about 24 hours. Beyond that, I know that there's not quite enough charge. For much longer events, I would probably use a dynamo wheel, but for shorter ones, then I don't really feel the need, to be honest. Battery pack's absolutely fine, and I can charge my phone from that as well. And then finally, I've just got a little tin, and this has just got some nuts and bolts, kind of the most likely things that are going to break. So spare chain link, spare chainring bolt, those kind of bits and pieces. One thing that isn't in here is a stove of any sort. For short events, I don't bring anything. I just refuel either with bars and things that I brought along with me, or I will use cafes, supermarkets, anything that I pass en route as well. Bringing stove is extra weight to start off with, but also it's time that you spent sitting down, making a brew, making your food, where you could be riding your bike. This is obviously a stripped back approach to bike packing. If you really want to bring a stove, then bring one. It's completely up to you, but this is my approach anyway. All right. Just to finish off, the top tube bag, which is purely food for me here. There's plenty of room in it. I'm not using anywhere near all of the room right now, and I've got 3 bars in there. And the only extra thing that I've got is a spork, just for supermarkets, petrol stations that you call by and you want to buy something that needs something to eat it with. It's a bit better than the crappy plastic spoons that you might be able to get there. But that is literally it. Hopefully that's given you an idea of roughly the stuff that you would want to take on a kind of up to 48-hour fast and light bike packing trip, whether that's racing or simply just trying to go as far and as fast as you possibly can do. That's literally everything that I would bring with me. I think the only thing that's not on the bike is the lights. And lights are certainly something that is worth thinking about. First of all, in terms of battery length and getting to know your lights and how long they will last for, and also how you will charge them, whether that's using the battery pack or maybe considering a dynamo system. Other than that, then for all the other kit, I think it's just timing the saddle and going out and testing out what works for you. For some of you, you may well be more than happy riding through the night and just having something that's an emergency backup. For other people, you may want to bring just a little bit more as an insurance policy, and that'll enable you to get some rest and then feel refueled and ready to ride the next day. But yeah, look forward to hearing your setups and tell me about them in the comments.